You looking more space namelo. You please kindly move up or fill up the next so that all in the backside can come and they take the back seats. Okay. Once again, welcome you all today for the second day of this MSME awareness, general tax awareness. Yesterday was a good day. There's a recap on yesterday. For those of us that did not join us yesterday but joined us this morning, welcome. Again, you may welcome him to online, you may all joining me virtually and in person here. So as there, you may talk, we had the CG's keynote address to us. We had our commissioners here yesterday too, Commissioner Ms. Brea, our Commissioner for Services, and our Commissioner for Taxation, Commissioner Sam Loy. So our Commissioner for Taxation addressed us yesterday. Ms. Brea, Commissioner Services, will be addressing us at the closing, which will be on Friday. We had our stakeholders, the IPA. So IPA did their presentation yesterday. We hope you planning plenty something law too from the IPA presenter, the different types of entities. Hamas law one entity which will be suitable for you. I think he also spoke about having a business plan. Very important. Before you start anything, you must have a business plan. Think things through before you actually start the process. And one of them is kanolsem. Come kisim information, scaling good person before you go and register which entity would be suitable for you. Because with it comes the responsibilities once you register, the compliance part of it. So that was from the IPA we had yesterday. We also had our friends from Department of Commerce and Industry. So we had some heated debates on cooperative societies, and rightfully so, because cooperative society, I'm go down straight line blue place, and how if they work together can be a powerful force. So, but good discussions around the cooperative society yesterday. We also had our friends from Mr. Menda from the NCDC. NCDC came and spoke on compliance and liquor licensing and general issuing of trading licenses. So there was also a good presentation. Time you may like starting business, na put him up on building somewhere or to start up anywhere for that matter within the city. You know, you meeting him tasol na. You know, you may start him now. Such is the real practice, not only in here in NCD, but right throughout the country as well. You meeting him tasol na, you meeting also more them residential property bloom and I can do whatever I want. But you forget that you are living in a city that is controlled by an authority there. So there was a very good presentation from the NCDC rep yesterday. So at least now time I'm talk to him, dim you meeting thing me no can start him so me must consult him past time. So that was from yesterday. From the IRC, we went through the teen registration in the afternoon, the teen registration process. The first point of entry into IRC. How by you start buying tax blue you now how by me look or same, or this person is trying to conduct a business or has a bank account, because a bank account to know business bank account for that matter requires a TIN number. So Ms. Helena from our end went through that registration process, TIN registration process yesterday. So that was yesterday. That's just a recap of yesterday. For those of you who joined us this morning, that was what we learned yesterday. So this morning, what do we have this morning? Last night I told you, go and think of all the tax questions you can think of and come back next day na scheme plus. So for this morning, we will have the first session being the taxpayer obligation. So once you register, taxpayer obligation and maintaining of books of account, general record keeping. So once you register, what happens after that? We will look at the requirements for record keeping, the types of record keeping, and maintaining your books of accounts. So Miss Ellie is going to go through that, and then we'll have the breakout sessions right after morning tea. That will be the presentation on sole traders, companies, and small business tax. So during that breakout session, by you may identify at our entity, our business, either it falls under a company or a sole trader or under small business tax, SBT, an individual. We'll use this room and the other one at the far end. So we sort of you go in where session blue and Bakam, they'll do a practical session there. So that would be the breakout session, and then we touch salary wage in the afternoon. So once again, I welcome you all. Our stakeholders outside, we have Online Blue Milo number 1 Super. We have Kina Bank, BSP, NCDC is the commission is out there. Online Blue Milo Pacific Institute of Leadership they're also out there. So feel free during the breaks, get as much information off from them as well. IPA should be setting up booth this morning. Ask them, Presenter Bloltas will come so now, and our friends from commerce and industry. So once again, me thank you all get this morning. Me no can story long pla time. I'll have our presenter for this morning, Eli Kamanta. Please make her feel welcome. Now you can start in program. Thank you. Thank you. And welcome. Before let go, I understand we have some people also again from outside who traveled in. Online Blue Milo Manustap Morobe that came. I think we had several or one or two that flew in all the way from Vanimo this morning that are also here. Online Blue Milo Kaveng, we understand also one or two are here. They came. So thank you, Loyupla Kamstap Wantemipla. As an organization, I so no kissing this service in the ports. I must apologize. We have provincial ports there. Offices are based there. We have the maximum is 3-4 offices based at the respective provinces that should be able to assist you. But you are here already. Mipatok welcome. Thank you, Lokam.
Good morning, everyone. Before I start my presentation, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Konyo, and I'm attached with the audit division and a large taxpayer. So this morning we will be talking about record keeping and maintaining of bank accounts for business. This will include the small business taxpayers and personal income tax. I'll just go through the overview of what I will be presenting this morning. Our overview for the presentation will touch base on record keeping, why taxpayers should be keeping records, requirements for record keeping, forms and types of record keeping, the period for record keeping, and non-compliance with record keeping requirements, access to records by Internal Revenue Commission, record keeping implications, transition from small business tax to income tax, and maintaining of your books of accounts for small business and SME. Records as defined by the Income Tax Act includes books of accounts, whether manual or electronic format, recording receipts of payments of income or expenditure. That includes vouchers, statements, invoices, and the list goes on. These documents, they are necessary to verify your business transactions for tax purposes. Sorry if I'm going too fast, just signal or let me know. So what is record keeping? Record keeping is simply keeping of records. Record keeping in any business is important in order for your business to grow and prosper, and also for the purpose of taxation. Why record keeping is important? Record keeping is important for every individual and every business to keep records for the business. The taxation law requires that taxpayers keep proper records of all business transactions. Today I will be touch basing on TIN 4, and TIN 4 is the new tax that is currently introduced, and it is called the small business tax. If any of you are new or who have not come across small business tax, we will do an introduction on TIN 4, which is the small business tax, during the breakout session. So I don't want to confuse you with what I will be presenting in case you come across small business tax. But during the breakout session, our colleagues will run through with the registration. The following table shows the requirements for record keeping and the small business tax against small medium enterprise. Small business tax and SME. SME comes under our normal income tax regime. So you can see under the small business tax, the records required are only 3. And they are the sales register, the wages book, and the cash book. So those of you who are registered under small business tax, you are only required 3 records. And for those who are registered under the income tax regime, you have a set of requirements of records. And sometimes it is complicated, time-consuming. Any questions? No? Okay, I'll proceed. The next presentation slide will show the examples of our record keeping and the small business tax. So we have the examples of record keeping, sales register. For small business tax, sales register records daily sales of cash sales or credit sales. We have an example there that you can see. You can do that for daily basis or it can be done on monthly basis. So that's the simplified record required for small business taxpayers. Our second example is the wage register. You can also use this for small business taxpayers. if you are employing employees in your small business. We have another example, which is the cash book. Cash book can also be used to record all bank transactions or cash transactions. Any question on the three examples? Okay, forms of record keeping. Records for sales and wages paid for the business can be kept in the following forms. It comes in two, and it can be in the paper document, such as exercise or notebook, wages book, or it can come in the electronic document in the form of Excel in your computer or laptop. So those are the forms of record keeping that is required. This is for small business taxpayers. Do not confuse yourself with SME under the income tax regime. Now, how long to keep records for your business? The law requires you as the taxpayer or your business to keep records for a number of years or periods after the end of tax period that record relates to the business. For small business tax, you get to keep your records for 3 years. For income tax, you keep your records for 7 years. Non-compliance of record keeping. It is the responsibility for the taxpayer to comply with the taxation obligations. Do take note that non-compliance of record keeping and non-maintenance of your books can result in the following. Before I touch on that, when I mentioned non-compliance of record keeping consequences, you can be penalized. That's one. And two, in the case where you're not up to date with your taxation obligations and your compliance level is not up to date, you will be advised of a notice of audit inspection. When that happens, we have our auditors who come around to check your books. Access to records by IRC officers. Section 365 under the Income Tax Act gives powers and rights to access taxpayer information with or without notification at your business premises. That will include business information and records, your bank accounts, your properties, or your assets. It is therefore required by law to provide information, and they must be correct information, that will enable IRC with your compliance. And in our assessment, so we give you, or we advise you of the right amount of tax to pay. Record keeping implications, transition from SPT to general income tax. We encourage to keep and maintain proper records for your income and expenditures. Why do we encourage that? Because we want you at the time of SBT for 3 years, and when your business grows and you want to move into income tax regime, those documents or those records are important in order for us to assess if your compliance level is up to date, and then your business has grown and you are ready to move to the main income tax regime. Am I too fast, too slow? Maintaining of books of accounts. Maintaining accounts for any business is no easy task. Even small businesses, irrespective of the size, it poses a challenge. It is important that business owners possess at least basic record keeping and account knowledge. The following tips will help for efficient and maintaining proper books for your business, gradually to grow you from small business tax to income tax regime. So we have seven tips that can efficiently help and assist with your small business tax as you start your business and as it grows. So you can decide on the method of record keeping, you can decide on the mode of accounting, and you must open bank accounts for your business. You must establish your methods for receiving payments, can be cash basis. You record your transactions in timely manner, and you maintain and review your books of accounts. So those 7 tips can assist you as small business taxpayer in maintaining your book of accounts. I have an exercise here to share with you, but before I proceed, I just want to add little bit information. Yesterday when we had our registration session, we covered Tin 1 and Tin 2. What I am presenting is mainly on Tin 4, but Tin 4 will be discussed during the breakout session. But there is some comparisons I want to do with the SPT and small medium tax. For small, 250 kina for once, or 60 to 50 for a quota, and any excess of the threshold of the small business tax for each quota is at 2%. With the PIT, it comes under the income tax regime where you keep a record for 7 years, you lodge annually, and the tax rate is from 0 to 42%, depending on your income. And there is 3 forms that comes under the income tax regime. So you have when you are lodging and registered under the small business tax, with the 3 record keeping requirements, you get to attach those on your annual tax return under the small business tax or in your quarterly returns. With the SME or income tax return, your requirements are invoices, bank statements, receipts, uh, property details, and all those. And at the time of lodging, those are the records that you get to attach to your return. I just want to make it clear and not to confuse you that during the breakout session, you will come across SBT and PIT. So before you go into the breakout session, I just want to clarify that. Our exercise here, I need your attention here. Suppose in ABC Transport made the following sales and expenses. So you can see January 2021, they made an income of 5,350, incurred an expense of 750 kina, and they made a profit of 4,600. And then in February, they made an income of 5,500, expense of 1,070 kina, and there's a profit of 4,430. And in March, they made an income of 5,500, expense of 800, and a profit of 4,700. That is first quarter for small business tax. Then we have the second quarter, which is July, August, September. You have the income of 6,000, you have the expense of 650, and you have a profit of 5,350. For August, you have an income of 4,000, expense of 850, and a profit of 3,150. And in September, you have an income of 4,500, expense of 850, and you had a profit of 3,650. That's second quarter business uh, transaction for ABC Transport. That is registered under small business tax. Then in the third quarter, we have an income of 4,500, expense of 1,650, and profit of 2,850. November, we have 3,750 as the income, 1,350 as expense, and we have a profit of 2,400. And in December, we have an income of 3,500, expense of 850, and profit of 2,650. That's for ABC Transport. Sorry, I'm going through this because after this, we will go straight into the breakout session where you will use these records to fill up your tax return. So I'm doing an overview. Get your mind into it so when you go in, you know. So I have summarized. That's a sample record keeping for small business tax. So you can see all the total income for the 4 quarters, the expenses, followed by the profit. And then we have a total. At the end of the year, we have a total of 59,600 as the income, 11,400 as expense, and we have 48,200 as the profit. Okay, for small business tax, your annual turnover is from 60,000 to 250,000. Any business that earns a turnover of 250,000 and above, they don't belong to small business tax. They come under the income tax regime. So the exercise we came through, in the first quarter, they had an income of 16,350. They had expense of 2,670, and there was a profit for 13,680 in the first quarter. Now the details to enter on the SPT quarterly return is as follows. You enter the tax period, the year, the turnover received during the quarter, and the tax payable in that quarter. So suppose in ABC and 16,350, expense of 2,670 and a profit of 13,600, you only get to pay IRC for that quarter 89 kina 50 toya. Is it too much or too little? So that is the beauty of small business tax. And we realized that under the income tax regime, because of the complexity of the tax requirements and obligations, people have not been complying. Maybe they are hiding. That is why we introduced small business tax. So we encourage Papua New Guineans to start small. Start with small business tax, and as your business grows in the 3 years, you can move to income tax regime. Sorry. Sorry, sir. We take questions for later. Okay. So we go through. All right. Sorry, you can continue. Yes, yes.
Okay, sorry, you have 1350 times 2%. Okay, that's fine, 2% of that. But what about the 27? Where's the 27 coming from, please?
Okay. Thank you. During my presentation, I didn't make it clear, but I'll make it clear now. Sorry. For the turnover for the annual is between 0 to 60,000, and anything from 60 up, they fall under. That's when they lodge in the quarterly return. So the threshold, because of 60,000, and when you lodge in a quarter, you divide it by 4, so 15,000 per quarter. So your threshold for the quarter, for each quarter is 15,000. Any excess of 15,000, you tax it at 2% and you get the tax, and you add it to 6250 to come up to the total tax. So in this case, we had 16,350 less 15,000 for the quota threshold. We have a surplus of 1,350. So we might add times that by 2% is 27 kina. So you add 6250 for the quota tax payable plus the 27 kina, you come up with 89 kina 50 toya. So the details are entered for your information. Are we good? Can I proceed? So that's another exercise on question second quarter. So you can have a look, and if you are all good, we can proceed to the next one. Just 2 minutes. We have a friend there who wants to.
Thank you. In the event that during any one of those quotas you don't make any income, do you still pay that 60 to 50?
The answer is yes. It's between 0 to 60,000. So regardless, if you want a small contract, or if your small business didn't make any income for the year, you still have to pay 60 to 50 at the end of the year at the time of lodgement, which is 28 on the following year. But 250 is nothing, so it shouldn't be an excuse. Can I continue? Okay. My friend, this third quarter exercise will answer your question. So we made 14,500. That is below the threshold of 15,000. We had expense of 2,350, and there's a profit of 12,000. So when you are lodging your tax return, you put the tax period, the year, the turnover, and tax payable. It's 60 to 50, regardless you didn't meet the threshold. As soon as you register for SPT, that is the promise you will take up for the next 3 years. But with PIT, when you don't make a business, you lodge nil return. But with SPT, you cannot. Whether you did business or not, you still pay. Sure. I'll go back.
Example.
For the first, second quarter. Yeah, that's correct. That's the excess. Excess of the tax payable for 15,000 is 6250. Yes. Any excess. Excess of uh, I'll get the root. Please, can I have you here?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Now, what I mean is like you already got the difference of 1,500, right? You multiply by 2%, that's 30. You can't add an additional 27. It's a typo.
62 plus 2%.
Yeah, typo. Sorry.
Yeah.
But by excess is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, my apologies. I didn't pick up what you were saying. Okay. But so long as you understand. But thank you for correcting that typo. Clear? Okay, for micro business, annual takeover is 60,000 and below. Where am I? Sorry. Yep. You lodge annually once a year at 250 kina, and it's due on the 28th of the following year. So you will see you have an income of 59,500, expense at 11,400, and a net profit of 48,200. So details to enter on your annual return is as follows. Income 59,500. With small business tax, we don't consider the expenses. Tax is payable on the income alone. Whereas under the income tax regime is the income less the expense and tax is on the net profit. Again, with small business tax, expense is not taken into consideration. Although we require you to keep your records for any expenses that you incur for your small business. I see some confusion faces. So, anyone? So, regardless of how much expense incurred for your business for the year, that is not taken into consideration at the time of lodgement. You will only pay 250, and that's a final tax.
I'll allow Connie to proceed with her income tax example. Is it? Yeah, the income. Yeah, yeah. Oh, small business, only on small business. Okay. Detail, I think there is a few corrections to this presentation as I'm sitting down and having a look at it. Because underneath small business tax, even in a quarterly, because we indicated that expenses are not taken on board. It's based on our um, annual turnover. So quarterly turnover. So annual and quarterly, depending. If you are under um, micro, is the annual, small quarterly turnover. So the examples have taken on board expenses, but small businesses, small business tax is only concerned about the turnover. So we go back to the example. I'll just make a correction there. Go back to the other. To the calculations you had there. So the total, the calculation will be based on the 12,250 and not the 8,400 under small business tax. Because under small business tax, as indicated earlier on also, which you rightfully indicated, it will be based on.
No worries. Thank you. Yes, I think it's in my turnover received during the quota. I put 12,500, 250, as you can see. That income, expense, and profit, it's for your record keeping. Yes. But when you are lodging, I've stated it's 12,250. So I'm not confusing you. Because I'm discussing on record keeping, you get to keep your records for your income, for your expense, and the profit. They go into the attachment of the annual tax return. But when you are lodging your return, the actual return, you will see that it's there, 12,250 is written. Okay. And like I said, expense is not applicable, but you get to keep it for the sake of your record keeping. And no questions? Yes.
From the same people again from yesterday. Can we have some questions from the other participants as well? So we give an equal opportunity to everyone to ask something.
Thank you. Name Lumi Samariti. Milak asking, before SBT been coming to come inside where Mipla now serve along him, we were really excited look at legal business lo Mipla. So Mipla glo IPA in a Mipla register. Now Mipla was film up obligation lo Mipla same you talk here. By tax lo Mipla, but at that time tax form li TDS. Mipla ask him kind question and Mipla no interested so Mipla la him sa tax stuff yeah. So now you come up in this law, SBT. So me understanding me am also this law get a company where me been registered under it IPA. One times la letter LTD. So suppose me not making any money at the time. Me can shift to be a SBT. And one black question you can answer him and me got more questions to ask him. So now you make him narpla 12,000 now me leukemia. So suppose you take him expense into account, you minimum se me can keep him record me so suppose people making money where me abro seems like threshold at 15,000. That's the difference belong him. People by adding multiplying 2% here, now adding 6250. Is that what you're telling us?
Yes.
Okay, good. So now that you put him SBT come into place, and you encourage me blog it along, change him over something now. So now morning me reading the book and so little blue book and to me can elect law change from company come begin law SBT. So suppose mipla make the same. What happens to IPA record bla mipla na bank record bla mipla where mipla got account yeah? You got some black kind of road where mipla can walk out inside long him so that this la change chain reaction go get I'm also something where mipla feeling most and you must explain good because you got connection a tie up stuff long all get something. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you. To answer your first question, yes, there is a possibility to opt out from the current tax regime and opt into the small business tax regime. But your compliance must be up to date before we can. They will review your application. Your current tax status must be updated, must be up to date. Any outstandings, you attend to them, fix them. When you are done, satisfied, then you get a application for opt out. You fill it up, and then you send it, and it will be up to our policy and advice under the TPS to assess. And if you're okay to transfer to SPT, they will advise you accordingly. With IPA, that will be up to you. You remain to use the same business name. If you want to change it, you can go back to IPA and it will be up to them. Same as the bank accounts. Is that okay? Oh yes, that's right. Yep. Yeah. With that, no. Small business tax. Sorry, take note. Small business tax is for sole traders only. If you are earning an income and you are running a business, you don't fall under small business tax. You remain in the income tax regime. You can, like I said, file nil returns, keep your account up to date, and you can deregister, and maybe you can, yeah. Welcome.
So we'll
Sole trade, individual.
SBT is for individual sole traders. So again, if you've registered a company with LTD, you know qualify, and you may be in him law, mama law where Mr.
thank you.
So no business, but you file him nil returns. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruth. I think it's 10 o'clock now. You pla looking good pla ask him you pla, but we have if you have looked at the programs, dedicated sessions for these respective taxes. Now all this law ask him, but you may address him underneath inside law one all these law sessions where we have those speakers that will attend to you. So yes. So it's 10 o'clock now. Thank you again. Thank you for listening, Harim. Um, if you are okay, someone okay. Well, comments I'll take. Questions again. The after this is just an introduction. So, but after this, when we go into breakout session, Bloyumi, we'll have those in you identify your business. Those that have a LTD limited, but you may remain Lodisla room. Okay. Online sole traders, but you got him or you are partnership. No. Sole traders underneath the income tax regime, where you got him GST account, salary wage account, all this blah, but the next room on the other side. Small business tax tasol. Usad believe Mr. Employer register underneath the small business tax because it's a relatively new tax regime. I don't think plenty people would be registered. Most of you here would have already been registered under the income tax regime. So if I can have a show of hands. Small business, SBT. Okay. Okay. Maybe me should ask him also. How many of you have registered in recent time? Let's say last year. Last year tasol. The number is less. SBT would have come out just last year. It's about a year old, which would mean that all get a blue plus sit down layer and kissing this little teen number blue plate would have been in the income tax regime. Business name also me asking. One time you sim tin number blue one temipla. That would have been some time ago. That would have been under the income tax. SBT is relatively new. It's about a year old, year and a half. Okay, that's fine. In that case, we will put income tax and SBT together in the break because okay, okay, okay. Thank you. No can koros lo mi tram lo panim ting ting lo help him you na me one time. No can koros. You mean no kam lo koros. I'm trying to see how best we can assist you. Okay. Income tax people with a limited LTD remain here. Those that would want to sit in for the PIT, personal income tax, the next room, second room, we have our sign there. And those that want to receive information on small business tax, the last room, personal income tax with director more on that side. Sorry. Thank you, Ellie.